Welcome to the Rose City, Rip City, Stumptown, and Bridgetown. Welcome to the October episode of Season 2 of My Real Portland, the podcast. I'm My Real Portland host, Joseph Lyons. I'm so grateful you've tuned in. You're about to meet 3 amazing Portland original acts, a solo comedian, a theater group, and a hip-hop band. Each My Real Portland episode features amazing artists and performers from all around the city. I'll ask them all the Portland questionnaire, and then I'll throw in a game show on top of it all for a fun night out with friends, German food, and beer. Tonight's show is recorded live at Portland's Jade Lounge next to the Slide Inn at 24th and Ankeny on October 13th, 2019. Our next show is Sunday, November 10th, featuring comedian Jenna Vesper at 6 p.m. Happy hour is at 5:30. Next year, I'll be announcing my first big stage shows at the Clinton Street Theater, just down from the Jade Lounge. We'll be making even more opportunities to showcase the best of Portland in one of our most cherished local treasured venues, a true Portland original. We'll keep on the second Sundays at the Jade Lounge with our intimate show, and third Thursdays at the Clinton with the big stage show. Speaking of Portland originals, this show is produced by myself, Joseph Lyons, Portland realtor helping homebuyers and sellers make their real dreams become real estate. Putting this show together is my real dream, and I support this fun hobby with my professional day job in real estate. My career is all word of mouth, so please tell others you know of My Real Portland the Realtor, Joseph Lyons. That's josephlyons.com. And now, on with the show.
It's always been home, I've always been here, I've always got time for one more beer. So pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band. It's My Real Portland.
Hello and welcome to My Real Portland. Let's begin tonight's podcast as I always do by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Chinook people, including the Multnomah and Clackamas. Coming to you live from the Verdant Jade Lounge in 24th and Southeast Ankeny in my hometown, Portland, Oregon. This is My Real Portland, highlighting real people and real stories from all around the area. I'm your host, Joseph Lyons, realtor in the streets, podcaster in the sheets. And I've got a great show lined up for you this evening, including hip-hop group Adebisi, theater group The Reformers, and comedian Danny Shy. So, welcome to Portland in October of 2019. Let's ground ourselves with a little bit of remembrance for Sean Kielleher. Sean was killed yesterday morning by a hit-and-run driver in front of Cider Riot. They were an activist, an anti-fascist, and we remember them today. J.D. Chandler, the author of Murder and Mayhem in Portland, Oregon, a well-known book about murder across decades in Portland, said today that city leaders Ted Wheeler and Danielle Outlaw are responsible for the murder, saying they have created a plan that allows Nazis to think that they can get away with anything. And Don't Shoot Portland founder and mayor candidate for 2020, Teresa Rayford, simply said, "My heart is breaking." In other horrible Portland news, not to bring the room down even further, but EU ambassador and Portland hotelier and human thumb Gordon Sondland thrust his ass into the news this week by succumbing to pressure by the White House to not testify in the Trump-Ukraine impeachment trial, and then further succumbed after public pressure began on his properties on Tuesday and continued this afternoon with protests that marched from Shrunk Plaza to the Heathman. And apparently he will testify that Trump coordinated the entire no quid pro quo cover-up. So Portland in the news in another terrible way. In good news, this weekend, Fred Meyer and Safeway workers signed a new contract, and so after 18 months of contention, they have a new 3-year contract that promises 20-hour-week minimums and, quote, aims towards closing a perceived pay gap, unquote. In more positive news, though, Tanya Culver Humphrey. Are you familiar with Tanya Culver Humphrey? She is the daughter of Mercy Corps founder Ellsworth Humphrey, and she survived years of abuse by her father. And 25 years ago, she complained to the board of Mercy Corps, who ignored her and did nothing about her claims. And last week, the Oregonian broke a story, and by Thursday, all of the employees had marched and stormed up to the executive director's office and demanded his resignation. And the following morning, when Tanya showed up at Mercy Corps, all of the employees came downstairs and rallied around her with support and love and compassion. So that's a little bit of what's happened in just this past week in Portland. The news is a little dark, but in my life, it's been a little different. I've gotten to go with a friend to Sauvie Island, like I used to do every time when I was a kid. And this time, I got to go to Bella Organics, where, among other things, the corn maze is in the shape of Rosie the Riveter, and you're given 20 feminist trivia questions on your way through the corn maze. It is a really fantastic, positive experience. This week, I got to do one of my most favorite things and did a tour through a cemetery. Among other things, I got to show the grave of one of my very young crushes, Rowdy Roddy Piper. When I was a young kid, I would watch Portland wrestling with my dad every Saturday night. And by the time I got old enough, we would go watch the Portland wrestling live at the Portland Sports Arena. And oh my gosh, when this guy, this Canadian who wore a kilt, blonde, oh my gosh, I was so in love with this guy. And he would take his shirt off and wrestle other men. It was the best. And so he passed away several years ago and in California, and was buried here in Portland and Tigard, and around where the rest of his family is. So this cemetery that's right next to Washington Square Mall, I got to do this really fun cemetery with 30 business leaders in Portland, help them understand a little bit about the area they live in. Another fun thing I got to do this past week was work on a theater set at Lloyd Center Mall, where I used to go with my mom shopping all the time when I was a kid. And even like downstairs from the place that I was working was the place where I blew up at my mom as a little kid. It was so funny. By the way, I'd just like to introduce my mom. This scarf was made by my mom, and this little pin right here that holds it together is little horn-rimmed glasses that are a remembrance of my grandma, so just keeping me in love tonight, as we are going to do with all of our shows, keep everything in love and light. A few show notes. You might notice that my co-host, those of you who come every show, notice that my co-host Christian Burke is not here tonight. He is in LA with his mom, who is premiering a show about drug and alcohol abuse, and also hopefully doing some auditions for his modeling and acting and comedy and hip-hop career while he's down there. And for those of you who know who Christian Burke is, you might know him as Creme Brulee. He has a podcast called Lol But Seriously. And on the last podcast, he had the guest from our last show, Complimentary Colors, and Carlos Kareem Windham. And so you can hear them on his podcast, Lol But Seriously. You can also hear them on My Real Portland podcast that you can find anywhere on any of your favorite podcast streams. Okay, now, are you ready to start the show? Are you ready to start the show? Okay, that's better. My first guest was raised on a farm in northern Michigan and makes home here in Portland. In fact, she runs a nonprofit that repairs homes of people in need all across Washington County, helping to stabilize housing, households, and our community. Dani also spends her time on stages all across the Portland area as a stand-up comic. She's even returned home to her native state to perform in Detroit's Women of Comedy Festival. Please welcome to My Real Portland, Dani Shy!
Michigan south of me and also worse. Don't consult the SNL map, though. It's wrong. It left us out. We're better than them. I do want to start by apologizing. I know that I have resting bitch face. Even to the listeners, I want to apologize. I know you can hear it. It's going to be fine. We'll all be fine as long as nobody tells me to smile. That makes me go from resting bitch to active bitch. That's. Please don't call in either. Let's see. I was raised on a farm. Joe was right about that. That means mostly that I learned about castration decades before intimacy. You might think that I struggle with dating, but I don't. I'm very happily single. It's just every day I don't play the game feels like winning, is the thing. I was recently talking to a mayor about the Portland metropolitan housing crisis, and he explained to me that I'm the problem. Apparently it's single millennials that are causing houselessness here. It wasn't Ted, but it was one of the white ones, so white men ones, so I don't know. If it matters. And I'm not really sure why my singleness is causing your rent to be high, but, he's elected. It's his job to figure it out, right? So the point is that if I am causing houselessness, I'm concerned, so I'm working on the dating thing a little bit. I don't know, get paired off, I guess. And I've learned two things. Mostly, the first one is in a girl-guy flirting relationship situation. The girl's role is to be very impressed by the really not impressive. And then the other thing I've learned is that intimacy, not as much fun as castration. So it's going... I have fun. Let's see. I've worked at nonprofits my whole life. My parents were firm believers in child labor. That's how that works out. I've got a lot of feelings about it. None of them are rewarding. Just, when you work at nonprofits, a lot of people are like, you're good. Everything you do is great. You're definitely making our community a better place for me to live. I'm happy to donate to you as long as $0 goes to your salary. Who doesn't love being called worthless? I don't work at nonprofits because I'm good or because I think that humanity's worth saving. I work at nonprofits because my parents taught me community service with the same fervor that Charles Manson taught his followers murder. You know what I mean? And I'm concerned. I think that I need to get out soon or it's going to end bloody. Because the other day, a client, I was helping her stay in her home, keep her house, and she was explaining to me how the Holocaust wasn't real. Yeah, sure, why not? And I thought that was really interesting because all of a sudden I realized that I no longer believe in healthcare for all. But just like that. Let's see. I was talking to a man, a business leader, explaining to him how I work in affordable housing and preventing houselessness because he asked. And he was like, does it ever feel like there's just too much? Just give up, And I was like, you mean that's an option? I could just not care? just makes sleep real easy. I want that. I considered getting married to end houselessness. I'm not sure how it worked, but it seemed like hell, but I was considering it. I would rather just get rich while the getting's good. How do I need a lobotomy for that, sir? Please explain. I did. So anyway, the thing is, I probably should get a new job. Don't tell Joe. He's kind of my boss, so. But I have found a way, like, it's hard to get out of nonprofit work. I have found a way, though. I was reading an article about Whole Food shoppers, and of how apparently if you shop at Whole Foods, you give back to your community less. Quinoa cleanses you of your social responsibility. So now I just need to figure out how to convince all of my bosses to give me a raise high enough to afford Whole Foods. I don't know. It's just definitely going to work out, I'm sure. Let's see. I was raised on a farm in the UP. And I don't go home much, though. Mostly, I don't like doing chores on vacation. Just a thing. But last time I was home, my nephew, he's 3, I think, he came out and he's like, hey, let's rock pick today. That sounds like fun. And if any of you've never rock picked, it's not fun. It's not a fun thing. Just so you understand, rock picking is, you do it on spring break. You wake up early and you go out into a field and you dig up the boulders left by the glacier so that they won't be in the way of the plow, and you just spend all day doing that. And if that doesn't sound terrible enough, you do it with your whole family. It is a family activity. It's all... Fun is not the word you use to describe rock picking, okay? It's how when my nephew said, hey, it sounds like fun, I was like, oh, you've never used a video game before, have you? That's we need to get you started. Because when your nephew's like, hey, it sounds like fun, I don't know if you've ever been outworked by a 4-year-old. I'm not allowed to be, though. Apparently that's my dad's take on it. And I'm like, I didn't bring home shoes. And he's like, well, let's see if that tetanus shot is still working out for you. It's great. We were sitting around later that night, though, talking, and my nephew comes out of what I think was his toy room, and he was like, hey, Aunt Danny, this is what we use to take care of the bulls, you know? And he showed us the rubber bander that we use for castration, and I was like, oh, he does know how to have fun. That's great. It's great. It's going fine. Let's see. So anyway, thank you so much for coming out and laughing with me. The only reason I do comedy is because I found nothing quite as empowering as being like, wrap it up with your promise, folks. I got an open mic to get to. So you would have laughed harder if you understood how worthless open mics were. So, I think that's all I got, Joe.
Danny Shee, everybody. Danny Shy, everybody. See, I can cut all of that out. No one knows I said your name wrong from memory.
I'm sitting this far away, not because I don't like you. I just have a big bubble. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, me too.
Okay.
Yeah. So this question is for my aunt, specifically my Aunt Lucy. Can you name the 4 H's?
Head, heart, hands, and health.
Ah, beautiful.
I can do the whole pledge.
Really?
Yeah, it's a cult. Farming is a...
Now, see, 4-H, when my mom and aunts were going to school in 4-H, that was just a normal thing. How was it in your community? Was there a lot of people in 4-H around you, or were you kind of an odd person out?
I was in farming community, so all of us did 4-H. I don't know.
Wow.
I have 2 older sisters, so I also have 2 younger sisters, but they're not significant in this portion. But that means that when I was born, I was already in 4-H because they were doing the 4-H extra.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know, 4-H, the way I describe it, is like Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, but for farm kids. It's all about community service and how to raise animals and then eat them for profit.
That is such an interesting perspective, because that was exactly what my grandma and my Aunt Peggy did. They both raised cows, and that was the whole thing. My grandma had to keep a whole budget, and at the end of the day, she didn't raise a bunch of money, and that was the end of her report. She said, I don't want to do this anymore.
As long as the bank doesn't foreclose on your farm, you're successful.
Speaking about foreclosing, so you kind of let a little cat out of the bag. I'm your boss, if you will, because I've recently joined the board of Rebuilding Together, which you are the executive director of. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Rebuilding Together is?
Sure. So I am the executive director of Rebuilding Together Washington County. We are a local affiliate of a national organization that does provide safe and healthy housing for homeowners to keep them living in their home. We mostly work with people that are 30 or 50% below area median income, and we do a lot to make sure that those individually owned homes aren't lost from the market. Let's see, we're volunteer. The whole thing is about volunteers and getting volunteers out to help homeowners. It's really important for us that we understand that neighbors helping neighbors is how we build community and sustainable change. It's not just about this one repair work that we're doing, but like the whole sustainable changing of understanding that all of our neighbors have different needs and we have an impact and we have a responsibility to take care of each other.
Oh, that's why we hired you. So, what's been some of your favorite nonprofit work that you've done in your history?
Favorite is an interesting word. I think, favorite, that's hard. There's a lot of things that I value a lot. One of the things that in my history that I found most significant and impactful for me is I volunteered with a domestic violence shelter. And in order to volunteer with them, you have to go through like 20 hours of training to understand why people stay and when they leave and what other concerns that they have and how financial abuse works and how emotional abuse works and how people use kids and it was a whole lot of things. But somehow through it, it helped me understand people a lot better. So I really valued that as an education in what empathy is and just stepping out and understanding how people living in crisis don't prioritize the same that people that are safe and comfortable prioritize. So it's helped with empathy building and stuff. Mm-hmm. But I've had a lot of fun times, I guess, and a lot of accomplishments that I'm really proud of at nonprofits. But to say, yep, this is enjoyable is weird, or like this is my favorite is weird. Because I think nonprofit work, if you're doing it right, you're like, the world is shitty. So you go into nonprofit work. And then while you're working there, you find out that the world is just an endless, shitty piece of yarn that you're pulling out. Like, it feels like, I don't know. Like, especially, like, I was asked, I was applying to a grant, and they were like, what are you doing to end poverty by 2030? And I was like, you are a bank. I don't think that you can be asking me about ending poverty. This is just systemic. The way that we finance organizations is systemically holds organizations back so that they're responsible for ending poverty, but like banks are just creating it. So just stop it. So anyway, that's a not very articulate way of saying that every day you realize that the system is rigged against nonprofits.
Right.
And that is a whole level of frustrating.
So like when I was working at a nonprofit, what I did to kind of balance my time was get out and do some work in green space. One of the things that you do to balance yourself is stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And so how have you found, does comedy balance out some of the energy that you have to expend in your nonprofit work?
I say what I like about comedy is nobody dies at the end of it. At nonprofits, there's just a lot of pressure that you have to stay there. Because if you leave, then you are letting all of these people down, and everything that you've built and everything that you've created is going to tumble down. Like, you are an integral part of keeping the nonprofit alive. It's super problematic, and especially going back to the Mercy Corps thing, where we make a lot of, for the good of the organization, decisions, and women in general are oppressed, people of color are oppressed. Like, there's no HR system, the EEOC, like, it's hard to file a complaint against your nonprofit, so there's a lot of this. Rebuilding Together Washington County, great. I don't have any of those problems, and I'm also the boss, so it's fine. But in doing stand-up, everything that I do only impacts me. So I go by two names, and mostly it's just in my head that I can like balance, like, well, this is my comedy part and this is my nonprofit work. But the part that I like about it is that I don't have to be like, well, if I say something, who am I hurting? Because at nonprofits, when I'm advocating for my organization, I'm never not representing my organization. You don't have the privilege when you work at a nonprofit to go out and like bitch about your nonprofit and think that the person listening isn't going to take that out on your nonprofit and every other single nonprofit that they donate to.
That's right.
So that's how comedy, kind of under a assumed name, just helps me be like, there's problems at nonprofits. That's the joke about Whole Foods and the joke about how there's people that are just like, oh, it's too much, I can't care, is my way of like, you guys are putting an unreasonable expectation on nonprofits, and I can say that as an assumed person that I can't say at work, because at work you have to be like super grateful to every donation and every volunteer, and that's not always helpful.
It's exhausting after a while, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So nice to have this kind of a venue to be able to blow off your steam. In fact, speaking of this venue, this is the actual room where we met actually several months ago at an open mic.
Yes.
Jaded, actually, which you'll see posters right here, Thursdays at 7 p.m. So how can people stay in touch with you and follow your comedy?
I'm on Facebook as Danny Shy. I am on Twitter, Danny Shy 3 of 5. And I think that's all. Yeah.
Any upcoming shows that we should know about?
Nope. I have one project that I'm hoping to do a panel showcase that maybe in January I'll have more information, but
awesome.
No,
do we want to invite listeners to the golf event?
Yeah, but that's you can do that.
We'll do that
Can
separately.
you do that? I can do that. Okay, so my organization is holding a Top Golf event on October 27th. It's a Sunday at 1:30 or 1. It's at 1. Come out. It's cheaper to do Top Golf with my organization and donate to housing than it is to do Top Golf on your own. The way the fundraiser works out. So come out, hang out with us. We're fun people. And support housing in your community.
Fantastic. All right. You want to do it again? That sound means it's time for the My Real Portland questionnaire based on the Proust and Lipton questionnaires. Danny, are you ready for tonight's questionnaire?
I'm never ready.
Okay, then we'll give it a shot. What's your favorite smell in Portland?
Leaves. It's fall. I like the leaf smell.
The smell of leaves. I love it. What's your favorite sound in Portland?
I like when there's no hikers in Forest Park, and it's just Forest Park.
Charmaine and I have a story about Forest Park that we'll tell you. Oh, boy. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
I don't know the bridges that well. What's the one with the walking one underneath?
Steel.
Steel one.
You like
I
the
like
steel
the steel
bridge.
one.
Good, awesome. What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
I don't know any of the Portlandians.
That's all right. Where are we most likely to find you for a brunch on the weekend?
At work. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, what a brown nose moment. Jeez.
No, I like to, so usually when I do brunch, it's the one Eastburn. It's near my church, so that's how it works out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
If you could rename any Portland street, which street would you rename and who for?
I don't know, but on the grounds of equity and stuff, I don't think that we have enough named after the tribes in the area. So I think that renaming probably one of the white guy streets to some important chieftain would be great.
Absolutely, I love it. Good call. If you were a tree, which Portland area park would you most like to be planted in?
Kelly Point.
Kelly Point at the confluence of the rivers.
Yep.
That is beautiful. Any other reason why other than it being the confluence?
Super beautiful. It's pretty. I might be planted on the other side. I don't know what that is. There's less people there. I don't know. I just like that place.
Beautiful.
Lots of traffic to see.
Yeah. All right. One more time for Danny Shy. So, imagine the worst mistake you've ever made in your life. Close your eyes and visualize it in vivid, agonizing detail. Now multiply it by 1 billion, and you know how my next guests feel. Please welcome to My Real Portland, the Reformers. Come on up, make yourselves at home. You might need to share some mics. So coming to the stage, Charmian's gonna join me on the mic. Hello, Charmian Kriegel.
Hello again.
Welcome back to My Real Portland. Who else do we have from the Reformers here tonight?
I'm Caitlin Nolan, performer and playwright.
Yeah. Fantastic. Welcome to everyone. So, I just saw your performance on Thursday night of We're All Going to Die.
Eventually.
We're all going to die. Now, all of you, just so you know, there are tickets to We're All Going to Die in tonight's game bag for the game show portion, which also includes 2 Cooper Realty mugs,
Hey.
a Cooper Realty keychain,
What?
I know, and a My Real Portland magnet,
Ah, yes.
and a Cooper Realty bag, and 2 tickets to the Reformers We're All Going to Die. Tell us about We're All Going to Die.
Go ahead, Caitlin. So, We're All Gonna Die is a Halloween horror comedy with Lovecraftian influences. To rewind a little bit, we have a sort of a stock character in the Reformers universe named Stuart. And Stuart, there have been different iterations of him in different shows we've done, but the common denominator with him is that he's sort of a perpetual victim of his own terrible decisions. And usually those decisions end in his death. And in fact, I think he's died in every show. Indirectly because of stupid shit he's done. And so in this story, without giving too much away, Stuart has developed a time travel device to go back to 1989 and correct a mistake he made that caused the deaths of a lot of people. And he's been haunted by the guilt ever since, and so he's trying to fix that, and in so doing causes yet more fuck-ups to occur. Am I allowed to curse, by the way? I'm sorry.
You are absolutely allowed
Fuck yeah.
to curse.
Okay.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So Stuart dies perhaps in this show. You already gave it away. So he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuart dies.
So this show takes place at Lloyd Center.
It does.
Like in a place where I probably shopped as a kid, as a little tyke.
Perhaps, yeah.
In the same place where I would have been with my mom while she had to have me go out, wait for her in the dressing rooms.
You were probably hiding in circular clothes racks for
Oh my
fun.
gosh!
Yeah.
And so that's the same space that this happens in. It is the coolest experience. How did that come about?
Well, you want to go? I'll go with this one because
Take
there's
it
a
away.
connection here.
Yeah.
Actually, a guest of yours, Amanda Richards, who worked with us on our previous show. She was looking for a theater space. Theater space is very limited here. because obviously property values have gone up and theater is a non-profit making endeavor. Therefore, it's really challenging to find space. And so she was looking for space and went there because there's, I don't know if you've been to Lloyd Center recently, but it's kind of a ghost town. Quite literally, in the sense that so many shops are vacant. She went there and was like, oh, maybe I'll build a space here. That didn't quite work out, but I was talking to her because we do a lot of site-specific theater in different locations. We've done bands, we've done homes, and even theaters at times. But she said, you should try the mall. And I was like, oh my God, that'd be so fun. It's so 1980s, which is a generation that both Sean and I, or Joe and I were children in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and obviously on topic, everyone, gosh, Stranger Things and even American Horror Story are all 80s themed currently.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we had any connection with that, but it seems like, the ether is connecting all those things up in some way or another. But she said, yeah, try it out. So I went there and we got a space and, decided, Caitlin and my spouse wrote this piece. Well, actually, we're writing it before we even confirmed the space.
But writing it with the space in mind.
Right, exactly.
I wrote up a treatment for what I thought we could do, which looked very different at the time, and then Charmian was like, think about how you could do it in a mall. And I'm like, oh, okay, and that completely changed the concept.
Very cool.
Very true.
So, you mentioned kind of ghost stories at Lloyd Center. You've been working now in the mall for a couple of weeks, and you might have some ghost stories to tell about the mall.
I might be breaking this news right now. This is a pivotal moment. I was talking to one of the cool security guards there, and he was saying that there actually have been some ghost groups that have recently been there to check it out, and it might be revealed at some point. But this security guard showed me some footage of this moment. It was, of course, security footage of a blast that occurred from one of the glass windows, one of the storefront areas. I think it was the Gap, and completely unexplained. So it's just this moment of, like circular explosion, I'd say, but like a foot diameter. This glass exploding out, and then you kind of see like a little fog that comes forth from it, which is kind of interesting. And they went there, and there was nobody there. This was like 3 a.m, that kind of thing. And one of the security guys, I guess, who's like this big, bulky guy, went into, I guess Nordstrom's has the best thrills and chills. The previous Nordstrom's, supposedly walked through the Nordstrom's and saw like 5 figures in gray cloaks, and they all simultaneously turned to him and showed red eyes, looking at him, and he refuses to go into that space again. Another one that's Hot Topic supposedly has a lot of kind of sightings, a lot of things flying off the shelves.
Of course it does.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? You got the gothy gear. You got to have a little bit of, little real goth go on in there. One of the security guards was sitting down at their computer monitoring, and then had a kind of a chilling feeling, and then looked to the side and saw a 6+ foot decaying woman in a wedding gown looking down at them. Those are just a few of the stories. It's pretty exciting.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. I mean, like, to me, it's just the mall where you go buy caramel corn, I mean, like, I work, cemeteries and all that kind of stuff, never seen a haunting or anything like that. I can just imagine, though, the hauntings at Lloyd Center. Gio, now, you, in the show, We're All Gonna Die, bring everyone into the space, and at the last minute, I hear, you changed up your character a little bit. Is that right?
You added a few lines.
Oh yeah, I go smoke a bowl before I start. That's the only thing I added. And then I'm blunt and honest, and I tell people, yo, I just came from smoking a bowl.
Uh-huh.
Gives you a license, right?
Yeah.
It honestly added just the right moment because that's exactly what me and my audience member did before we came in to see the show. So nothing made me feel at home more than that.
You're not alone.
I grow my own stuff, man. I can share some of that stuff with you.
Now, Jen, you are the stage manager of the show. The technical specifics in the show are so amazing. You did such an extraordinary job within the performance space. I'm just curious, what's your, how long have you been doing stage management?
I've been stage managing since 2010 when I graduated from high school. And the Reformers are my favorite company by far to work with because they always give me a challenge. I also stage managed Lear, which happened in March at the Shoebox. And that one had 2 scenes taking place simultaneously in different parts of the theater. And so each of those scenes had different cues that needed to happen within them, and they all had to line up perfectly because there were also cues that needed to join the action again, and so that was really fun to figure out. And this show has its own challenges. I can't see anything, and if you've ever stage managed, you need to be able to see.
Oh yeah.
But I can't. So we have a hole cut in some fabric, and I can sometimes see what I need to see, but sometimes there's audience, and it's always an adventure with the Reformers.
Well, I saw it twice on Thursday, and there wasn't a technical moment that was wrong. It was
thank you very
just
much.
extraordinary. You did a fantastic job. And Caitlin, you've been co-writing this piece.
Yeah.
What's it been like to see it actually get on stage and get audience members in front of it in the space?
Always incredibly exciting because, you can read something on the page and you can have a picture in your head of what it looks like and think it's pretty good, think it makes sense, but you never really know for sure until it's actually on its feet and people are saying the words aloud and executing what you put down. And so, first of all, the relief that it actually works is immense. And then getting audience feedback that, oh, okay, things I intended to be funny are funny and things I intended to be scary are scary is wonderful. And, you just want people to have fun.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is a fun experience. So tell us about when can people see it? How can they buy tickets? How can we stay in touch with the Reformers?
Well, we just opened this last weekend. We are performing the next couple of weekends, coming up to Halloween and the night before Halloween. We have 5 shows a night. So they're 30-minute performances, and so every half hour starting at 7 o'clock, we have a show. So actually our performers and our stage manager are working really hard doing, 5 30-minute productions a night. I think they seem to love it because it's fun to kind of play in that world and kind of, see what level you can get to the next time you do it, and kind of just, it's like in a really amplified character analysis and story analysis to be able to do that many performances a night.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can walk up. We as the nights go on, we have sold out in the past as you're getting close to Halloween because everyone's looking for a Halloween experience. What difference? I think the difference about our show is that we are kind of a smart story / haunted house. So you get your scares that you're used to with a regular haunted house, but you also get a smart, fun story. It's pretty funny, and that's kind of the unique quality that we haven't experienced here in Portland.
Haunted Girl Scout girl is all I have to say. Oh my gosh. That character is so amazing. I don't want to give any more away. So we can stay in touch with you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook with
All those.
the Reformers and get
Performers
tickets there.
PDX.
Fantastic.
And there's a company website too,
Yes.
reformerspdx.com.
So what else do we need to do before we go into the Portland questionnaire?
Smoke a bowl.
Go ahead. All right, that sound means it's time for the second My Real Portland questionnaire. Charmian, Caitlin, Jen, and Gio, are you all ready for tonight's Portland questionnaire?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
What is your favorite smell in Portland?
The rain. After the rain, when it's no longer raining.
After the rain.
After the rain. So two of you for after the rain. I love it. What's your favorite sound in Portland?
The rain.
Got a theme going on here.
I can't stand the rain against my window. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
St. John's.
Yes.
It's so beautiful.
I like Tillicum Crossing. Does that count as a bridge?
Absolutely it
It
does.
goes across the river.
From the very end to the very other end. I love it. What famous Portlandian would y'all like to meet?
To clarify, are we talking about like, famous people from Portland? Or
However you want to classify Portland.
the guy who played Skinner on X-Files, Mitch Pileggi, I believe is a Portland native. I would love to meet him. I love X-Files, and I love Skinner.
Oh my gosh, Charmian and I have an X-Files story from her apartment in
Tell me.
1997 on Southeast Tollgate, but I'm not going to tell it tonight. But I love Mitch Pileggi. Where are we most likely to find y'all for weekend brunch?
Tom's. I love a
Tom's,
Tom's.
the 39th in Division, yeah?
Tienda y Tortilleria de Leon. It's all the way in Gresham, like on 164th and Gleason.
I like that you said 164th is all the way in Gresham. That's
Isn't it not? Oh, dude, I don't know, man.
You just smoked a bowl.
I want to put that on my list.
That's the numbers. If you could rename any Portland street, what street would you rename and for who?
Cooch or is it couch? See, nobody knows. Get rid of that.
So name it one.
See, I don't know. I've been here for 9 years and I don't know.
No? No one? Okay. So, but what about if you were a tree, what Portland park would you most like to be planted in?
I'd want to be in Lone Fir Pioneer Cemetery.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well.
It's gorgeous
Also,
there.
The Reed College campus. It's not really a park, but I like it over there.
That's a good one.
I would be at the Keller Fountain. Like, dude, man, I just go out there at night and just see the stars. It's beautiful, man.
From
Love it.
Keller Fountain, though, you'd have all the city lights.
That's fine, man. Like, it's just a nice little square.
What about the little tiny park, the smallest little park?
Uh-huh.
That would be quite dominating to build there, put a very little tree.
Are you talking about that little planter in the intersection?
Little planter on the street. Oh, yeah.
I want to dominate the whole park. All right. Once again, My Real Portland, the Reformers. Okay, so My Real Portland is brought to you by me, Joseph Lyons, Realtor in the Streets, podcaster in the sheets. I hope buyers and sellers across the Portland metro area make their real dreams become real estate. Learn more about me at josephlyons.com. Okay, who has, we're going to take just a short break. Who has filled out their blue cards and wants to hand those to me? Blue cards. right, My Real Portland. Come up to the stage, Zach E. And come up to the stage, Miguel. All right, Zach and Miguel, get yourselves set up with microphones. You're gonna need them.
Oh, God.
So, welcome to My Real Portland, the game show. You are
Zach. Yeah.
My name's Miguel.
fantastic. Now, you're gonna remember those names because those are how you are going to ring in if you know the answers to any of the questions that I am about to ask. So, when you know the answer to the question, ring in with your name. All right, so tonight, in honor of autumn in Portland, I have 7 questions about this spooky season across the region throughout time. And if you think you know the answer, ring in with your buzzer, and that is your name. The Tour of Untimely Departures occurs annually at what local cemetery? It was just named about 3 minutes ago.
Zach,
Zach,
the lone fir.
Lone Fir is correct. Now, Jen from the audience may have been mouthing the audience to Zach, so we'll give that to you, but no more of that, Jen. All right. Okay. Question 2. A new route for what annual event caused some participants to run 2 extra miles last weekend?
Miguel.
Miguel, yes.
Is it the Portland Marathon?
That is the Portland Marathon. We are tied. Miguel and Zach are both on the board with 1 point. 210 years ago, what co-leader of the Corps of Discovery killed himself? I know, right?
Yeah, I got nothing for that.
What the hell is that kind of a question all about?
For real.
Rip.
Okay, so co-leader, the Corps of Discovery included Meriwether Lewis and some Clark. Who was Clark? So which one do you think it is, Lewis or Clark?
Well, 50-50 Clark.
There's only 2 of you.
Miguel.
One of you.
I'm gonna go with Clark.
Clark, all right. Did I hear that from Miguel? Yeah. It is Lewis, so Zach has 2 points. Miguel, you have 1 point.
Sweet.
On October 8th, 1985, a bronze statue of a kneeling woman with a trident in hand was dedicated on the Portland building. What's her name? It's also the name of a famous television show.
Zach.
Zach?
Portlandia.
Portlandia is correct.
All right.
You have 3 points. All right, so we've got 3 questions left. So it is getting strong and hot here. Rod McEwen wrote a song, Love's Been Good to Me, in 1969. A verse goes, there was a girl in Portland before the winter chill. We used to go a-courtin' along October Hill. In what Portland neighborhood will you find October Hill?
I must know.
Sounds so romantic.
Name a Portland neighborhood.
Belmont.
Belmont? Okay, that is a neighborhood. Zach?
St. John's.
St. John's. Belmont is closest to the correct answer. So, Miguel, you have 2 points. Zach, you have 3. Good job.
What is the
okay,
answer?
so the answer is we don't really know.
Oh,
It's
oh my God.
now some researchers found that there is a subdivision out near Bridal Mile, but then other researchers discovered that it was somewhere around the old Carousel restaurant at the base of the Oregon Health Sciences University, Carousel Restaurant? No? Oh, you guys would have loved it. It was amazing. 30 miles north of Portland, you'll find St. Helens, which celebrates itself as the filming location for this series of movies starring Debbie Reynolds. It's only a movie series that you would watch during October. Through the healing sounds of their neo-soul music, my next guest, with 7 sworn bandmates, are manifesting her truest self and creating a tribe of lovers, listeners, artists, free thinkers, and kind-hearted people. Please welcome to My Real Portland, Adebisi.
Love songs, still gray skies, and how you read tonight. Oh boy, with your unsure emotions and your swimming head ain't got you feeling right. Oh boy, here it comes again. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. with your unsure emotions and your swimming head ain't got your feet right. Oh, hey, oh boy. Here it comes again. Here it comes again. Yeah, oh, hey, oh boy. Here it comes again. 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 Here it comes again.
Adebisi, my real Portland. Something's a little hot back there. So, oh my Lord, what a beautiful sound. Welcome to my real Portland. How long have you been together?
I think it's almost been like 2 years now.
In November.
Yeah,
Just
2 years.
2
in November.
years?
Yeah, that'll be 2 years since our first show.
Oh my gosh, so introduce us. Who do we have here tonight?
I'm BC, and this is Keith. He plays saxophone, and then Chang. He plays the trumpet. Miguel on guitar. Ajay on bass. Maeve is on vocals as well, and then there's Lee on drums.
Fantastic. Welcome to all of you. What a beautiful sound. How long have you been doing music? Easy.
Well, I've only been really singing like in this kind of context since the band has been a thing. But I used to play French horn.
Really?
Since fifth grade. It helps. It helps.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't play it anymore, but I used to.
so being a vocalist is relatively new.
Yeah, it's pretty new.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you found that your French horn background has given you a license with lyrics and vocalization that you might not have had you grown up as a vocalist?
Well, I'm not really sure. Cause I mean, honestly, I just started singing because I had an extra period off of school that I wasn't supposed to have my senior year, and they were like, "Go fix that," and I never did. So I just learned stuff music stuff after school, and would just sing, and I had some friends, and we'd just get together and do stuff. I don't really know if that informed my vocal technique necessarily. It might have. I feel like I could I know what an E flat is. That's about it though. That's about it. They're giving me shit.
Wow. That's a lot of shade coming from the band.
That's
Jeez.
That's what they do.
So you have had a number of pieces out that are all amazing. I have a thought in my mind of who you remind me of. What are all of your influences come from?
I feel like we all come from really different backgrounds, in many different ways, but especially music. Me, I feel like I just get a lot from what my parents listen to. So I listen to a lot of Destiny's Child, and because my mom's kind of younger, so Destiny's Child and Mary J. Blige. And,
Awesome.
Amel LaRue and stuff like that. Just a lot of early R&B people. That's who I would like to be, I guess. That's who I draw a lot of inspiration from.
It comes across very much in your sound. What about you, Maeve? Oh, sorry, as I catch you in the middle of a cough. You're like, oh, I'm over here behind. He'll never see me over here.
Yeah, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. The That's like probably one of the hardest questions that I get asked because I honestly don't know who all I draw influences from. I just listen to all the music that I can and do all the music that I can.
That's, it's funny when I ask comedians sometimes what their influences are, and sometimes you'll get like the two albums that was always listened to in the household, but then there's really great ones who listen to everything, So good answer on that. Lee, how about you? What are your musical influences?
Do I have to yell or do I just am I okay?
Sure, yeah, yell it out.
D'Angelo.
D'Angelo.
That's it.
And
James Brown.
Ajay, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like the odd one out because I moved to Portland to play metal.
You moved to Portland from where to play metal?
Hawaii.
From Hawaii? You moved? Do they not have an education system in Hawaii or something? You moved to...
Not a very good one.
So this is definitely not sounding very metal. Are you...
Yeah, just wait.
So Miguel, how about you?
I like a lot of music with guitar in it. I couldn't pick it. Thank you.
He's holding a guitar.
I have my influences, but I'd say now anything that has a good guitar player in it that I'm inspired by, I eat up and try to absorb as much as I can from it.
And I've already forgotten the names of the two men standing right next to me. Chang and Keith. Okay, Chang, how about you? Roy Hargrove. It's a name I'm not familiar with, and I was going to have to add to my
You like it,
my
it's
list.
good. It's
Yeah?
really good.
It's fantastic. And Keith?
I love Kenny G.
Nice.
Now there's a way you could say I love Kenny G and actually mean it seriously.
And, he taught me how to play vibrato. It's a beautiful thing. Does he not look serious? I got a Kenny G songbook and everything.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Now, one of the reasons why why this entire band came into my consciousness was an event that happened a couple of weeks ago at Growler's Tap Room. Yes.
Whoop whoop.
And I have what I would call a couple of my local heroes in the audience, people who have survived a kind of extraordinary moment in the media and in the legal system. Maeve and Lee were both reported in the news, at least.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Maeve was there too.
Yeah. Maeve, your name shows up certainly in the news when you research about what happened. So, BC, would you like to tell us all what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it's
Stupid,
Portland.
right?
So it's Portland. So it's also, for some of us, it's very, not surprising. If anything, it was just it was just a regular day. It's just that day we happened to go to jail.
My real Portland, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, no, and it's really weird because it's Portland's is a weird place because it's while very progressive things happen, it's on top of and a Band-Aid on top of really messed up issues that nobody really wants to address. Oregon, it's not surprising to me that a racist came up to me and my friends and Maeve and said some racist stuff to us, and then we ended up going to jail. It's not surprising, especially in a state where it's it was founded as a whites only state. This has one of the smallest percentages of people of color anywhere, and then the indigenous people's land is just taken. It's just and it's just it's not this is a place where such bad things happen that I don't think people really want to bring to light, and they want to like be like proud of themselves for like, I don't know, I'm going off on a thing.
No, you're
But,
absolutely
like-
right. We pride ourselves in being this wonderful liberal bastion, and yet a couple of years ago, the right side weaponized vehicles against the left when they killed Heather Heyer. And so here we are in Portland in 2019, and we're not far from that moment at all. In fact,
Yeah,
we're still
no, of
living
course not.
in that moment.
Well, yeah, and people need to recognize. I mean, it's like it's not the first time. I mean, it's like black people here are being killed by white supremacists.
Yeah,
like,
and the difference between those two events too. Those are two very.
Yeah,
it's like
and
the same
it's-
thing, but it's two very different.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
right.
just like it's something that's like it's hard to talk about in a place where the minimum wage is high and like there's really nice bars and they make really nice cocktails. Like it's hard to like see that like, oh, like maybe this is really fucked up, but like
Mhm.
you know, like when you really think about it, it's like, you know, like you said earlier, you did like the land acknowledgements, and it's like this is somebody else's and we currently live on it. Like and
Right.
we are just like kind of doing everything we can to uphold that system without actually addressing that.
Mhm.
And that's like the source of all of our problems. Like it's the source of patriarchy, it's the source of homophobia, transphobia, like all those like racism, all those things have a source, and like that's where it's from. So
Yeah, that's more appropriate.
Both of those responses were fantastic. What I love, VC, is that as you were saying that you seem to have a spirit about talking about it, where knowing the terrible past and our terrible present actually seems to inform a lot of your current knowledge. Does that inform any of your music?
yeah, more recently, definitely it has. Like I've been trying to be more mindful about that because, I mean, I think it's important because I think in music it's really easy to get wrapped up in just being successful, like as in just making money, but also like music is supposed to be something that is like community forming and like should have a political purpose, and a lot of like black music has been drained of its political purpose because of the way that like it's been commodified, and that's shitty, and like it shouldn't be like that. So.
You know, there are times when you invite people to be a guest on your show, and you're just like, yes, this is exactly the guest that needed to be on my show.
Thanks.
And it's kind of in that light that we go to this sound cue. So that means that it's time for the last My Real Portland questionnaire. Members of the band Adebisi, are you ready for tonight's Portland questionnaire? So, what's your favorite smell in Portland?
Oh, I got this one.
That's good.
Okay, so there's like this Chipotle downtown by the oh god, it's by the mall. It's by Pioneer Place, and it's also like right across the street from what's that bar? It's like a really hole in the wall bar. Anyway, Yamhill Pub.
Yeah, I was
Yep,
thinking
right
of
across
that.
from Yamhill Pub. It smells god awful.
It does.
It smells god awful in the mornings. I used to work by there, and I just walked
That's
by.
your favorite smell?
That's your favorite? This was not your least favorite smell, your
Yeah,
most
I mean,
favorite smell.
You know, it's terrible.
I got one. Like, every time I
Yeah,
drive over, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's like tells me I have some sort of like brain disease I should probably take care of. Every time I drive over the Fremont Bridge, no, is that the Arch Bridge? That
Yeah.
yeah. Every time I drive over that, it smells like ramen.
Nice.
And yeah, and it's like also like concerning to me because like does nobody else smell this? But it's like very good.
Every time you go over the bridge, you're having a very unique stroke to just yourself. Okay, y'all, what's your favorite sound in Portland? Now, you are a band that I would like to say have a very specific sound. You might actually go out and say yourselves.
No,
Just-
I'm not gonna.
I would.
I love the Portland scene. I moved here from Hawaii because there was not a very diverse music scene, and so this was a very good place for me to be. So I definitely enjoy it here because of that.
Beautiful. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
Ooh, the red one. I like the red one. I don't know what it's called.
The Broadway. Yeah, I had to think about that for just a second.
Nice.
That's funny.
You know, famously painted the same color as the Golden Gate Bridge. We'll cut that out where I couldn't remember that. No one will know. Where are we most likely to find you for weekend brunch?
Our kitchen.
Yeah.
Your kitchen.
Yeah, I'm not awake for break.
In bed Uber eating.
Uber eating? Is that what you said?
Nighthawk Cafe, Nighthawk though.
Oh yeah, Nighthawk's good.
Nighthawk. I love the Nighthawk. It's like in North Portland.
Yeah.
Like,
My
I love Nighthawk.
My high school
Really
friend
cheap
Janelle
waiters.
used to work there for years. Do you know Janelle Merrick?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Short blonde.
Shout out to Janelle. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. George and Janelle Merrick. Also, shout out to Yesenia and Alex Jones, if you're listening from home. If you could rename any Portland street, which street would you rename and for who?
Sandy.
Sandy?
Yeah.
Sandy Boulevard, and you're going to rename it for who?
Chang Park.
Chang Park, all right. Right next to us, right here on the trumpet.
The legend.
The man,
If you were a tree, this is your final question. So this is for all of you. Which Portland area park would you most like to be planted in?
Mount Tabor.
Yep. I was
Mount
gonna say
Tabor Park. All right,
Nice
we've got a
I
couple.
can see that.
I'm gonna say something sacrilegious. I would not be planted in Portland, but not because I don't love Portland, but because I take my dog to this one specific park in Vancouver, Ike Park, and it's a memorial park for a dead dog. So I want to be around all the dogs. If someone like kills me, just plant me there, and I'll be happy. It's good.
I just have to say, the first person on My Real Portland in 2 seasons to mention Vancouver, Washington. Anyone else?
Ooh.
Anyone else with a park you'd want to be planted in?
There's a lot of really pretty parks here, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I will say. I'll give that to you. I'm not. I really know. I have to-
Jane Park. All right.
Shake Park, what park do we replace?
Okay, y'all got a couple more in you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. My Real Portland, once again, Adebisi.
Yo. If we can, move this to the bathroom for walking.
All right, let's go for it. Let's go. Let's just go.
You got it.
Yours is done?
Yes.
Feeling everything and nothing. All at once, tongue stick, eyes heavy, 6 cigarettes in my belly. Said you'd be here soon. Too many moons I miss waiting on you. Yet somehow always in a hurry. Did you even hear the music? Note for note, I waste my breath, still feeling useless to you. Confused and aloof, so many spaces for me, but no room. Guess it's easy for you, always with something to do. Love ain't just roses, you're not always so kind. Shifting shape that's not harmless, even when I don't mind. Wish our time was lovely, though it wasn't for me. Never asked for it all, left with pieces of me. You're a nuisance,
girls find their magic and keep it. Face a blunt and a bottle to sleep. Up. And they wish that they may never wake up. Take my body, never my mind, so don't ask me to behave. I've been reading all the signs. It's over, 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 over. They may take my body, never my mind, so don't ask me to behave. I've been reading all the signs. It's over. Over, over, over. It's over, 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 over. It's over, 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 over. Fuck white America. Fuck how you feel. It's like the blood wasn't enough, and now we're drowning in your tears. No, it's over, 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 over. It's over, 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 over. Over. It's over, 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 over. I can tell it's over. Ha, 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 ha. I can tell it's over.
My real Portland. That was Adebisi. I want to thank all of my guests, including Adebisi, the Reformers, and Danny Shy. Thank you to the Jade Lounge and Eugene. You've all been a fantastic audience, and I just want to give one final shout out to my mom. She passed away 2 years ago tonight, and you all celebrating her passing with me this evening has actually made this one of the best days of my life. So thank you all. That's been My Real Portland!
She's always been home, I've always been here, I've always got time for one more beer. So pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band. It's My Real Portland.